Welcome back to the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. I'm Matt, your host, and today we're exploring even deeper into the folklore and paranormal mysteries of the Brazos Valley. This region is full of history, from frontier-era violence and long-lost towns to haunted hospitals, river bottom cryptids, and ghostly soldiers still walking the grounds. These are 10 more real Brazos Valley stories, legends, and paranormal hotspots, all connected to this land through generations of local whispers. So today we're going to be talking about 10 different folklore of the Brazos Valley. I really enjoyed talking about this last time, and I know a bunch of people commented and asked me to do it again, so we're going to do it again. All right, so some of these are really vague and they're very hard to find any information on. Some of them I've been to and had experiences myself, and some of them are a complete mystery to me. So if you guys have heard of them before, please comment down below or contact me and let me know about your story. All right, number 1, the cemetery gatekeeper of Boonville Cemetery. Number 2, the ghostly patient of Old St. Joseph's Hospital in Bryan. Number 3, the haunted grounds of Old Hearne High School and Hearne Cemetery. Number 4, Ghost Town's Echoes in Wright, Wicker, and Reliance. Number 5, Phantom Soldier of Washington on the Brazos. Number 6, UFO and orb lights over Lake Bryan. Number 7, cryptid activity in the Brazos River bottoms. Number 8, haunted echoes of Boonville Cemetery. Number 9, Demons Road, Bowden Road, Huntsville. Number 10, forgotten ghost settlements across the Brazos County. All right, so let's start with number 1. You guys have to bear with me. I'm not feeling great today, so I'm just going to basically try and get through these and talk to you a little bit about each one. Some of them I'll talk into more depth, especially if I've been to these locations, and we'll talk to you more about that. And then maybe I'll share some stories with you, and then we'll kind of move on to the next one. So this first one, the cemetery gatekeeper of Boonville Cemetery, I have not been able to find any information on him. Boonville seems to be like under lock and key for some reason. It's a very known paranormal hotspot to anybody in the paranormal community, especially around here. Boonville is very hard to get into. After COVID, again, it was locked down. If you remember in the last folklore of the Brazos Valley podcast, episode 1 or volume 1, I talked about it. It's said to be very, very haunted. I've actually had friends who have had the opportunity to go in, and they've had a lot of paranormal activity in the buildings, but nobody's actually ever talked to me about the cemetery. So it says that Boonville was the first county seat of Brazos County, long before Bryan existed. And we talked about that last time. If you remember, the train came through. William J. brought the trains through, and that basically ended Boonville. Long story short. So I guess locals walking around the old cemetery path at dusk have reported seeing a tall man in a frontier clothing standing at the gate. So when they look at him and then they look away, they turn back and he's changed positions. Some believe that he's a sheriff who died defending the settlement. So yeah, he's just basically like an old kind of guard of the gate, if you will. Again, Boonville's very hard to get into from my experience. I've gone over there a few times and it's just been locked up. It's just basically looks like a private residence, essentially. It's got a big gate in front of it and it's always almost locked. I'm still trying to figure out how to get in there. But if we ever do get in there, we'll definitely take you guys with us, and you guys will be able to see that on one of our shows. All right, so let's get into the ghostly patient of Old St. Joseph Hospital here in Bryan. From what I understand, let me look. This actually was torn down. This hospital was torn down It was actually a hospital from 1913, and then basically it got relocated around 1966. I guess the location now is an apartment complex. So if you live at this apartment complex, and I'm not going to name the name of the complex or give you guys the location, you guys can figure out yourself. Let me know if you have experienced any kind of weird, strange activity. The reports of a shadowy, dark figure and shadow figures, sometimes with glowing eyes, have been reported in the hallways. Young girls' spirits have been claimed to be seen roaming around. Her name is Stacy. I guess she is seen in the windows, reflections, or playing with a ball. She's actually said to respond to questions using dowsing rods or local ghost walks. So I think we've actually come across Stacy when I was helping with the ghost tours down in downtown Bryan. I think she came through the spirit box. I don't know if she ever came through the ghost box, but we came across several little kids down there. Apparition of nuns. The hospital was run by the Folklore sisters, and after 1936, basically they are now basically said to roam the halls of the building. And then unexplained sounds and sensations. Visitors report cold spots, strange noises, and then they catch what are called EVPs, which, if you guys don't know what that is, I had to explain this to somebody the other day. It's basically when you take any kind of thing, any kind of device that records audio, whether it be a cell phone, audio recorder, or a video camera, anything that can record audio, and you ask questions and you get answers that you don't hear when you first listen. Basically, we're talking. So when you go through and listen back, you ask a question and then you leave a space, 15, 20 seconds. And then basically maybe somebody else asks a question, again, 15, 20 seconds in between talking. You just leave it as quiet as you can so that there's a possibility that you can go through and listen back and hear somebody talk back to you. And when you do get a response like that where you can understand it, and that's called a class A, whether it's just a noise or like footsteps or whatever, that's class B, and anything below that was that's just gibberish, is class considered D and below. Excuse me. So essentially, what you're listening back for is just a voice that responds to you, and you're listening for something that actually answers your questions. I'm sorry, guys, I'm congested. Again, I'm not feeling great today, so my asthma has really been bothering me lately. So, yeah, let's see. So I guess they're in the hospital. There was some malpractice that happened and some murders, supposedly. I can't verify this, so this is just me reading something to you. Anytime you have a murder or anything like that, or something goes wrong during a surgery, it can lead to paranormal activity in a hospital. I've been through several hospitals, and usually they're pretty active. I've actually spent the night in a hospital where I had surgery and woke up to hear somebody like talking next to me, and look around. I'm in a room with, 2-person room, and I pulled the curtains back. There's nobody on the other side. There's nobody there. And then I'm hearing, somebody, it sounds like the cart that they put over you, the little tray that wheel over you, sounding like something like that being essentially moved around too, and hearing footsteps in the room. And it's totally quiet. After about, I think, 6 o'clock or something like that, the nurses go into quiet mode, and they keep everything as quiet as possible so people can sleep. And you could hear a pin drop, and yet these things are still happening in this location. So, okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the haunted grounds at Lowell Hearne High School and Hearne Cemetery. So the school itself is said to be built near a relocated burial ground. Rumors say that not every grave was actually moved. People have reported shadowy figures walking around at the old hall before. Okay, let me try that again. People report figures walking around the old hallways before the demolition. Voices were called out. Okay, let me try it again. Let me start over. People report seeing shadowy figures walking around the old hallways before it was demolished. Voices were heard calling their names. Strange cold spots near cemetery fences. Lights flickering on and off in abandoned buildings. So yeah, there's more to this. So this actually is out by my work. This actually was demolished in 2016. The grounds actually are basically just empty parking lot now, and there was an old slave cemetery that was right next to the school, and they actually built a road, I guess, down to it. The original school was actually built in the 1930s, and in February 2016, it was actually torn down because of safety hazards. So it says the supposed hauntings were connected to the old former cemetery. Objects moving on their own, specifically a baseball that rolled down the hall, and an auditorium being let's see, blah blah blah. Sorry, not worth reading. So basically, the building's gone now, but supposedly you can still go out there and walk around. Supposedly, one of the uh, graves is actually still there in the middle of the highway. It's in the median next to an oak tree, and there's actually still a grave marker there for one of the slaves that was buried there. All right, that I will check out because that's real close to my work. One of these days, I'll go out there and check that out, and we'll record that for you guys to see. Like I said, investigations are coming, guys. I'm just working on it. I'm working on getting that done. So, Ghost Town Echoes, Enright, Wicker, and Reliance. These small settlements slowly are emptied out and faded away. There's a lot of old ghost towns out here, guys. There's a lot of like old farms and old plantations and small areas where they used to bring cotton and corn to. As I talked about in downtown Bryan, they used to bring that down to the markets and sell it here in Bryan. But the surrounding areas used to have a lot of little towns, little farms, and you can still drive through them. They're not very big. Some of them only have, population of, I don't know, 300, 200, if anything at all. There's abandoned buildings, old structures that are just collapsing. There's an old market down by where I work that is a 2-story building that basically has completely collapsed. We tried to get in there, but it was just too ruined, and there was no way to get in. It was just totally overgrown, and you couldn't get to it. But anyways, so this says that where Enright, Wicker, and Reliance used to be, people hear voices in the fields where homes once stood. They see lantern lights moving through abandoned pasture roads. Apparitions near overgrown foundations, and ghostly wagon sounds are heard. That's pretty cool. So basically, I don't know exactly where these are. I'll have to look into them. But if you guys have ever been to these places or you've got a story, I would love to hear about it. Please feel free to comment down below on our YouTube or Rumble or on our podcast. If we don't get your story, get to it right away, just bear with us. We get a lot of stuff, especially on our Rumble channel. We're working on that over there. We're working on redoing it. So, so Phantom Soldier of Washington on the Brazos. So supposedly visitors have seen a man in 1800s military uniform walking the trail near the Independence Hall. Some say he's guarding the grounds, reliving an old patrol, and he's attached to the Texas fight for independence. So actually, I have more information on this. So basically, this is where Texas Declaration of Independence was declared. It's widely considered one of the most haunted locations in the state, with numerous reports of paranormal activity, particularly involving the phantom soldiers, plural, of the Texas Revolution. So the reports are of auditory phenomenon. Visitors frequently report hearing the sound of gunfire and smelling gunpowder in the air, suggesting echoes of past battles. Ghostly apparitions. Some people claim to have seen apparitions of rebel soldiers dressed in period uniforms walking the historical grounds. That's really cool. I would love to see that one of these days. One of the houses that we rented before we moved here, they had, hey, mama, shh. Sorry, she's going crazy. She thinks Amanda's coming home. Anyways, so one of the places we used to rent, we rented before we moved here, somebody saw a Civil War soldier in the back bedroom. We never saw him, unfortunately, but we did experience a lot of weird activity in that house. In fact, the guy that was renting to us said, "You're the longest person that's ever been here." So, general hauntings. Basically the site is known as a ghost town, where even the buildings are said to have spectral presence, contributing to its reputation as the most haunted capital, most America's most haunted capital city. Interesting. Okay, so let's keep going. So UFO and orb lights over Lake Bryan. Okay, so I don't know if I want to talk about this, but um, every place I've got on my Google map, right, where I have paranormal activity basically pinned, it's really strange because there's these clusters, right? If you're looking at the maps, there's hauntings, there's orbs, there's UFOs and other unknown phenomenon. There's um, Dogman, Bigfoot reports, and other strange activity all in this cluster, right? Well, Lake Bryan is one of them. Lake Bryan's about a mile down the road from us. It's not very far. And I work real close to it. I drive by it sometimes on my way to work. Um, People have told me, there's a lot of reports of dogmen out there. In fact, one of our friends, she has property just about a mile from it as well, on the other side, out where the farmland is. And she was telling me that she was out there working one night and she doesn't stay out there. She said she's terrified to be out there at night, especially alone. And she was saying that she saw a wolf-like thing on two legs run by and then disappear into the forest. And then also, she saw some UFOs out there. Now, driving home, I drive right past that area. I've seen strange lights, and I talked to you guys about that last time. Um, it says that fishermen often report the most activity. I imagine that most of the stuff is happening probably later in the evening. And yes, we do have the airport that, planes fly into, but I think the flights are supposed to end around 10 o'clock. We don't really hear anything unless it's military come in after 10 o'clock. Oh, and there you go. Military connection, right? So, that's also where the power plant is. One of our power plants for the Brazos Valley. We have a few, but that's where we get power from, mainly from that area for Bryan. And so that could be another draw for possible UFO activity. Maybe they're coming over there to get some energy or whatever. And, we've all heard of USOs. That lake is not very deep. I mean, it's only maybe 5-10 feet deep, supposedly at its deepest. But there's been a lot of drownings and there's been a lot of strange things that have happened in that lake. So, if you have any Lake Bryan stories, please comment down below or contact us. We'd love to hear, about it. All right, let's move on. Cryptid activity in the Brazos River bottomlands. Okay, so this is interesting. This is hunters and fishermen. People say, oh, well, how come hunters have never seen Bigfoot? Well, they see him all the time. They just don't report it. So hunters and fishermen have described heavy bipedal footsteps, deep growls, large shadowy figures crossing the tree lines, tracks that vanish suddenly. Now, I don't understand that. Something pacing tents at night. So they said that most people believe that this is Bigfoot or Dogman-like creature, and I would tend to agree with them. Let's see. So I've got, let's see. some more information here. The Brazos River bottomlands are a known area for Bigfoot sightings and are part of a rich tradition of Texas cryptid folklore. While the river ecosystem is home to very real large creatures like alligators and other unidentified ape-like humanoids persist. And if I come down here, so there's Bigfoot activity reported. Now here, this is interesting. They have another type of Bigfoot-like creature. They call it the Autine Swamp Thing. It says further down the Brazos Basin, the Palmetto State Park swamp area is associated with the Autine Swamp Thing, an ape-like creature described as being 4 to 8 feet tall, covered in fur, and walking upright. Now, that's very interesting to me because I've seen what I think are Bigfoots down in the I just lost my train of thought. Bastrop area. I've had a daytime sighting of one, and I thought it was juvenile Bigfoot. So maybe that's what these are. 4 to 8 feet tall. It's probably juveniles down towards the river bottoms, and they're probably down there gathering food or whatever, or just messing with people. Probably trying to, work on their skills to be able to elude people and watch people without being spotted and all this stuff. Because I do think when they get to full maturity, which I think they're 13, 14, some pushing, 15, 16, 18 feet or more at that point, I think that they're essentially, they're experts at avoiding people, mainly. Very rarely do you hear seeing these large Bigfoots, right? You usually see them between 4 and 12 feet, 13, 14 feet, and usually they're smaller, not huge. So I imagine that they're probably just juveniles down there, having fun and just learning skills and possibly trying to hide out. Okay, so we're not going to go into that. Sorry, we're getting a delivery here. We're going to cut this out. All right, guys, hold on a second. Moving back in. Is he leaving? What? Yeah. Dang it. Okay. So we're going to cut that section out. All right, starting again. Haunted Echoes of Boonville Cemetery. Okay, so again, when we kind of talked about the gatekeeper of Boonville, and we've talked about Boonville a little bit in the last folklore as well. We talked about the city or the town of Boonville. Again, Boonville has a very haunted reputation. Very, very haunted. I think downtown Bryan itself doesn't have enough credibility as being extremely haunted as well. The more I kind of peel back that onion, the more I kind of find out more about it. But so people, this is the cemetery. Now, I've never been to Boonville and I've never been to the cemetery, so I can't really give you guys any real information. I've tried to look up stuff on this, and there's not really a lot of information. It's all hush-hush stuff. But cold spots are reported near the pioneers' graves, lantern-like glowing lights between headstones, footsteps following visitors, a feeling of being watched from the cedar trees. Most of the graves actually date back to the 1800s, including children, soldiers, and settlers. So that makes sense. I mean, I think I've always said, the longer a spirit has been gone or whatever, it's almost like you start over as a kid. You have to learn to kind of walk again and talk and do all this stuff. I think the thing is, it's the same with spirits. I think that they have to learn how to manipulate things. By that I mean be able to make footsteps, make noises, move stuff, appear for us and stuff like that. I really think that that's part of what's going on. And it doesn't surprise me that cemetery is very active. So if you've ever been to the Boonville Cemetery, comment down below or contact us. Let us know. I would love to hear your story. All right, here's one I really know. I have a couple stories for this one too. Demons Road and Bowden Road, Huntsville. Now we've been to the cemetery out there. I'm not going to name the name of the cemetery because we got kicked out and we were told not to come back. So Demons Road actually connects that cemetery, right? It basically drives up to that road, up to the cemetery. And that cemetery seems to be very active. And there also seems to be some kind of cryptid creature over there. I don't know if it's a goat man or if it's a Bigfoot, but there's definitely some kind of something over there that's very, very large that tends to watch people from the forest. And it's creepy. But Demon's Road, I mean, we've experienced all kinds of strange stuff on there. And I've talked about it a little bit before when we went out to that cemetery and we talked about it afterwards and we did a whole podcast on that. So let me give you guys the reports real quick and I'll kind of tell you what we experienced. So red glowing eyes in the woods, a ghostly child on a tricycle, handprints on cars, dark shapes in the pines, a pressure that makes people leave immediately, like a pressure on your head, probably leading to a headache or just a feeling of being, like your ears are being popping. So, yeah, the red glowing eyes, I've actually seen that. I believe it's a demon child, if you will. Not a black-eyed kid, but just a demon child. Something that is not friendly or nice, if you will. I think it's more evil or upset, if you will. It's a negative like energy, not necessarily maybe a demon, but just a negative energy. Maybe it just doesn't like people being down in that area. I don't know. But essentially, I've seen the red glowing eyes. I saw it. It was only about, I would say it's 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall. It definitely could fit a little kid's profile. Maybe a 4 or 5 year old. And sitting there, probably about 20, 30 feet from us in the grass, the tall grass, probably up to my knees, maybe a little taller. And all I could see was glowing red eyes. And we were basically telling people as they were leaving the cemetery they need to clear themselves. And so these people, they were having fun. They kind of talked to us because they saw our car on the way in. And as they were leaving, I was telling them that they need to clear themselves before they leave. And I told them that when they first started because they were talking to us as well. And I was telling them about ghost hunting and stuff. And if you don't know about clearing yourself, that means that basically whenever you go to a said to be haunted location, or you just feel like you've gone to a location where there's some kind of paranormal activity, when you get back in your car, start your car first. Get down the road, get down that first stop sign, stop light, get away from that location, right? If there's anybody with me, you can't go home with me. Halfway home, if there's anybody with me, you still can't go home with me. I need you to go back to where you came from. You get home, if there's anybody still with me, you're still not welcome to come home with me. You need to get out of my car or whatever you're attached to. You need to release yourself and go back to wherever you came from. I don't want you in my house. You're not allowed to come in with me. Anyways, so she was in the middle of that, and basically her car died. Brand new car, brand new battery, shouldn't have died. So we were lucky enough to have jumper cables or something with us, and we jumped her car and got it started. But it actually started right after she said, if there's anything with me, you can't come home with me, when I was standing there. And then they got back out and had the car running and they were talking to us. And she literally, on her calf, on her left calf, got scratched right in front of us. This cut just appeared on this, like if this is her leg, let's just say this straight scratch came across, and we got her information. She got ours. She called us after she got home. Nothing went home with her, thank God, but she had to get stitches. Something had scratched her so deeply. It was like somebody took a knife and just went straight across her calf, that she had to get stitches, and it was probably almost 2 inches long. And so you guys got to be really careful on Demons Road if you ever go out to that cemetery. Be very careful, be respectful. And again, the last time when we were there last, some kids had gone in there and vandalized the cemetery, and that's the whole reason we got kicked out. They thought we were doing something. When the officer realized what we were doing, he was reluctant, but he's like, no, you guys got to go because they're still watching you, and I just don't want to have to come back out here. So please leave. And he was really nice, by the way. And the officer was very professional, no complaints about what he did. He was extremely nice and just told us, hey, go ahead and pack up and get out, and we'll just, let you go, and no big deal. Just don't come back. So, anyways, yeah. Just know if you go out to that cemetery, especially at night after dark, they are watching now. Anyways, all right. So, forgotten ghostly settlements across the Brazos County. Again, we kind of talked about this a little bit ago. Macy, Wixon, and other nearly vanished communities. People still see shadow people, abandoned homestead spirits, disembodied wagon sounds, old protective spirits. Again, that